Hi, welcome to Tim's Take. This is Tim Reinbott. I'm the Director of Field Operations and Communications, as well as the Assistant Director of Natural Resources at the University of Missouri. And today we have Dr. Kevin Bradley, our State Extension Weed Science Specialist. Kevin, from one weed scientist to another, welcome. That's a running joke, by the way.
Good to be here.
You know, weed scientist is forever changing. There's always new challenges, and we always have issues from each year. How was 2025?
You know, it was overall pretty decent. It obviously is in every year. It depends on where you were in the state. We had weird periods of drought and weird periods of moisture at different times. But I would say overall, not bad. How's that for?
Sure.
I would give it a B, actually, a B minus. You know, we find a way each year, but we've definitely had worse years across the state, and so it just depends on where you were as to how good or how bad a weed control you got, but we did pretty good overall.
Anything breaking down on us? Any resistance raising their ugly heads or anything?
We are seeing more 2,4-D resistance spread.
Oh, my goodness.
In water hemp, of course. Water hemp is the thing we all care about in Missouri. It's our number one weed. We're screening water hemp populations every year. And in fact, we were screening so many water hemp populations in the past that we didn't have enough room in the greenhouse to go back and actually look at our own Missouri water hemp populations. We were part of a multi-state project where we would screen 150 or so populations every year from Illinois, Wisconsin. I mean, they were all over. And our job was to say, hey, there's something suspicious here. You better go look at it in more detail, which we did. But in the course of that, we kind of neglected our own Missouri water hemp populations that were suspicious until we had time to get to those in 2025. And so 2025 for us was a year of looking at some things that we had found suspicious the past year or two. And as a result of that, we have more 2,4-D resistance. We have our first dicamba-resistant water hemp in Missouri. And we have some very suspicious glufosinate populations that aren't officially resistant, but we're looking at them right now, and there's some weird things going on there.
It's because water hemp has female and male plants. That aids its resistance, doesn't it?
It's a machine. If you can design a weed that is most likely to have resistance or have a tendency towards resistance, water hemp and Palmer amaranth are it. They both are dioecious, and that means the pollen can transfer the resistance trait. They both produce a lot of seed. Conservatively, it's about 300,000 seed per plant, but they can produce up to 1 million. They have a fast growth rate. They are just, you got to respect them. So there are more strengths than there are weaknesses, for sure.
And when you said 2,4-D, you're not just talking about ester and amine. You're talking about all 2,4-D products?
Well, we would assume so. We don't screen all 2,4-D products, but there's no reason to believe that it wouldn't be resistant to the different salts. What we screen with is what's legally allowed in enlist soybean, which is 2,4-D choline. Mm-hmm. But I don't think there's any doubt that it would also be resistant to amine and ester and all of that.
So right now, you mentioned we have E3 soybeans, all three of those that could have some resistance to.
Yeah, we have multiple resistance everywhere. It just depends on where you are as to what you have, and but herbicide resistance is in every soybean producing county. And what we generally say is, I don't know of a water hemp that's not glyphosate, ALS, which is group 2, and group 14 PPO resistant. I think it's pretty predominant just about everywhere. So we at least have 3-way resistance, sometimes just 2 if you're lucky, but most places we have 5- and 6-way resistant water hemp.
Are they resistant to the pre's at all?
We're living and surviving with the pre's. Illinois is finding a lot of group 15 resistance. That would be dual and zidua and all of that. We haven't had too many complaints of that yet, although we are investigating our first population that somebody sent me, and they are concerned. But Illinois has quite a bit of group 15 resistance. That's scary.
It is.
Wisconsin this past year, just a few months ago, confirmed the first official pre-emergence group 14 resistance. So what that means, this gets a little confusing, but we've known we have resistance to like Cobra and all of those post-emergence. Those are group 14 herbicides. We've never had resistance to like Authority or Valor pre, but they found the first truly pre-resistant group 14 where like Valor wasn't working pre-emergence and all that. So that's not in Missouri yet, but we are relying on our residual herbicides right now, and to get resistance to those would be devastating.
Oh, we talked before camera about being a purist, like in no-till and what have you. Unfortunately, some cultivation may have to come back.
Yeah. I mean, that's all non-chemical tactics are on the table, and that's a big passion of mine and where I think we're heading in the future. And the way we think about cultivation may not be the way it is in the future. I was one of the most interesting, it's not a field day, it was like a farm show that I went to. This, I think it was in October, was a robotics conference in California. Got to see what they're doing in high-value specialty crops with robotics, autonomous robot platforms. I watched a robot go down through the vegetable rows, in this case, and identify a weed, that's becoming common. Is all these companies have their own magic sauce of how they identify a weed. So they pick the weed out from the crop, and it just had these little tiller arm things on it that hacked out the weed where it found it, and then just went back up, and then it would keep on going and hack out another one. Wow. And they said that tiller arm would chip concrete. It was so powerful. And so like no-till is not a problem is what I'm getting at.
Sure.
But so their idea is a fleet of these autonomous robots going down through corn and soybean, hopefully, in the future, and just chipping out the weed where it is. So that might be tillage in the future, I don't know.
Sure. Well, when I was a kid, that was called kids.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a sharp hoe and we went out there and...
It's doing the same thing. Yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah.
The worst spanking I ever got in my life was when I snuck out of the soybean field.
Yeah. For us, it was sickle pod and soybeans. I spent many a day hoeing sickle pod and soybeans.
Ours was cucumber.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what water hemp was.
Yeah.
Because our priest took care of it, I think.
Yeah.
And such. Well, also talking about new trends, we're planting soybeans earlier now, and some are even planting them in late March, early April. How does that affect our weed control?
Yeah, not as I would have thought. So we've done just a few studies, and some of my colleagues have. So there's been some published in the literature, and basically the ultimate result is that this may be a good thing from a weed management standpoint. And I never would have thought that, but the idea is this: you're planting in some ridiculously early time frame, like March, like you said. Water hemp is not going to emerge in March anyway. There's a degree kind of thing that has to happen. A number of growing degree days accumulate. So that's not the concern, is really early season weed emergence. Quite frankly, you plant in March, you're probably going to be clean for the next 4 or 5 weeks anyway. But if you get good emergence of your soybean and everything goes well, you're going to canopy that much quicker. And what the results are finding is that in the early, ultra early, or whatever you want to call it, the early planted soybean system are late season weed densities are less than in a normal planting situation. There's not that longer period of time for, the between row area to be open and available for weed germination. So it is not like I maybe would have thought. We still have found that many of the same concepts, you don't want to reduce your pre. You may be able to delay your pre. We've had a couple of trials, and quite frankly, we plant in March in Columbia, Missouri, and the soybeans sit there for 5 weeks before they emerge. And so during that period of time, you could delay your pre to get a more life out of it. That's what we've found. But the risk of that is that if your soybean, if you did have a warm spell or whatever, you can't have soybeans emerged and spray Valor or Authority over top of them. So you got to be on top of it from a management standpoint. Make sure you know what you're doing and not let those things get ahead of you. But ultimately, the news is mostly good from a weed management standpoint, based on not just my work, but Aaron Hager's done a lot over in Illinois. I think they had a ton of locations and they evaluated a ton of different programs, and that's ultimately what the message is. You probably get a better late season weed control out of the canopy itself.
So, but you could delay your Group 15.
You could, yeah,
because that could go early post also.
Yep. You can, of course, you can spray Group 15s over the top of soybeans. You could delay those. Another thing they're finding is, and I've not always said this, but in more recent years, we've learned that the layered residual would be like a Group 15 that we spray with a post-emergence. While it's the best chance at having complete weed control and least risky and all that, and it's good weed management, don't get me wrong. But I can't, and I don't think any weed scientist can tell you year in and year out whether that's going to pay for itself or not. It just depends on the rainfall we get and whether you're going to have late season water hemp germination. But in these systems, the canopy is so far ahead at that time of year that we probably don't need that layered residual. I'm not going to say you don't, if you want to apply it, that's great. But it's less likely to be needed in that early soybean planted system.
And that's kind of like what cover crops do.
Yeah.
They give you that canopy for a while.
They're just buying you some time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you could probably utilize those a little bit better. Maybe even with the dead cover crop, also give you a little bit of some.
It does, especially cereal rye. It's a biomass thing. The more biomass, the better.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And the big question is, how long can I delay terminating my cover crop? Can the soybeans or corn come up and then a couple of weeks and then terminate it and hope get some more weed control?
I think, we have shown, it becomes a crop management issue versus weed management issue in some respects. But because the cereal rye, if you can get your planter to successfully plant in the green cereal rye, the longer that you delay termination of cereal rye, the more weed control you're getting out of it. Mm-hmm. But I can't say that cereal rye might not be competing with that soybean coming up.
Sure, for moisture.
Yeah, mm-hmm. So there's give and take there. But from a weed management standpoint, I love planting green and delaying that termination. It's going to do a lot for you for weed control.
And you've even said don't spray your pre's at the same time. Wait a little while.
A lot of people, including us, have found the interception and the uptake of the pre from a green cereal rye crop, even though it's really not going to do anything with it. In some cases, it might wash off and still be beneficial, but the uptake is so great, we're not getting that pre to the soil. So I definitely would delay that pre in that planting green scenario.
Wait till till you've killed the cereal rye and and then spray it.
Yeah, and we know there's been some good work. Once that cereal rye is brown and desiccated and dying, that there is wash off of the pre that's sprayed, and it can be a good thing, So it's not going to actively take it up and translocate it,
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, I've put a lot of planted and sprayed immediately. I think, am I just wasting my time? And probably the weed control I'm getting is from the CRI.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really what I'm seeing. Also, tight margins are tight right now.
Yeah.
And you're looking for ways to reduce cost. Is in weed control, is there anything that we can do there?
Yeah. Probably most common question I get this time of year, the past 2 seasons, we have the same major concern by growers. It's really difficult. So the few little tips I have is there are generics, and generics are usually just as good as the popular brand name. If it's just a true active ingredient is the same, our research would show, hey, if you can get it for a lower price, it's going to give you the same level of control. Just make sure there's not anything special or being left out of that generic. But yeah, so that's one possibility. My message would be never, never, never reduce your residual pre-emergence. I know you got a lot of costs and a lot of everything to think about, but that's going to hurt you, and that is not a way to reduce costs from the weed management program. So overall, I know growers don't like to hear it, but obviously I'm biased. There's not many things you can. I mean, I think it's going to cost you more in the long run to skimp on your weed control, and just hurt you in the long run. To not do as good a job as you can and have weeds go to seed, and then you're dealing with all that. The other thing that is possible is what I've already talked about. I can't tell you year in and year out whether that layered residual is going to pay for itself, so that might be something else to think about.
Layered meaning
second residual post-emergence.
Okay.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. We want the pre. We have to have the pre. We're relying and we're living and dying by the pre in Missouri. But in soybean, the second residual that some people are putting down post, which we call a layered residual, like I said, if you have great canopy and we're not in a drought and that soybean rows aren't wide open, it might be something you could pass on, but it just varies from year to year.
Or you could take advantage of your cover crop and have that second one actually as your first one.
It could be in a cover crop system. Mm-hmm. You really only have one residual in a lot of cases, and it's the delayed residual. Okay.
So those are ways that we can reduce costs too. All right. Well, it seems like we talk about some new products, but we haven't seen too many coming down the pipelines. Are there any coming down?
Next year there's one. It's the active ingredient is called diflufenican. It's from Bayer. The trade name is called Conventro. Just to be blunt, I don't think it's a standalone product, and I don't think Bayer thinks it is either. I think they're going to be encouraging tank mixes, but it is, and I should say we don't have it. I mean, it's not approved yet, and we're sitting here in January, but it is expected that the EPA is going to approve it for this use season. I wouldn't think they would have a whole lot available to get out there on the acres, but it is expected that it will be approved. It's a different mode of action. It's a bleacher. Mm-hmm. It's not a brand new mode of action. We've had this mode of action in weed science. This active ingredient is actually not new either. It's been in Europe since the 90s, but it's just being brought to the U.S. I think the data I've seen and the data we've done ourselves, it looks a whole lot better with other residual herbicides and not by itself.
And that's a group what?
It's a new group.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's a new group that we haven't used in soybean at least for many, many decades. It's a group 12, and so some people might, I don't know, if you've ever sprayed the aquatic herbicide Sonar, fluoridone, it is in that group of chemistry. So it's not like we're not totally unfamiliar with this. We evaluated Sonar Fluoridone as a potential soybean product, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. It never made it to market because there was too much injury.
Well, Command was a bleacher, isn't it?
Yeah, very similar to Command, but in a little slightly different group. So it's not the same group as Command, but it's they're all in that pathway of carotenoids and everything. One targets one different enzyme than another, and that's why they are in different groups. But you will see the same whitening that you see with Command or with Callisto mesotrione.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that would be another, where we're starting to have these different modes of action of resistance in water hemp. That could be one of the ones that we could use now.
Yeah.
Possibly down the road.
I don't want to minimize, it's a new mode of action that we haven't used before, and that's a good thing. Yeah. I would like it to be a little bit more effective on water hemp, but we just got to deal the hand we're dealt with. So, but it's from that standpoint, it's a lot of good things about it.
Well, several years ago when the kick soar chemistry came out, it's mixed with something, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's not a standalone, but it really gives you a whole different mode of action.
Yeah, I think they will. I don't know. I can't predict what companies do, but they looked at it as a tank mix, and they just weren't able to proceed with registration in a timely manner with EPA on a tank mix. So they had to pursue this standalone product. But like I said, I think their own marketing will be, we want this to be applied with something else, not just by itself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that helps with resistance too,
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned the mesotriones. How far are we from that in soybeans?
A year or two. Every seed company and chemical company the future is stacking soybean with some type of HPPD resistance trait. Syngenta has one, BASF has one, Bayer. So that's going to be our future. We're going to see more HPPD resistant options in soybean.
And then that'll be resistant because we're using it in corn also, which is frustrating.
I have, farmers want to hear the bare bones out of me, or at least I think they do. So I haven't been the most enthusiastic about using mesotrione and HPPDs in soybean because, like you just said, they're top 2 or 3 active ingredient used in corn, and for the most part, they're still effective,
right.
Very good. The second we start going to use them in soybean and corn on the same acre year after year, the increase in resistance is going to go through the roof.
Oh my God! Because I can't use as much atrazine as I used to, so I rely on these other herbicides, and they're stacking those with soybeans. So that's going to reduce my corn effectiveness.
Yeah,
we're solving one problem to create another one. Yeah, unfortunately,
it's a concern.
Real quick, are there any new weed issues that we're looking at?
In the crop world, not really. In the pasture world, we're concerned about the spread of a grass that we're seeing called fountain grass. It was scaped ornamental. And I tell you, Tim, every season I add 3 or 4 more counties, and this thing is weird. So it's not the fountain grass. There's a purple fountain grass that has purple foliage that if you walk in Home Depot or wherever your garden supply store is, it's not that. It's first cousin, but it's not that. I mean, I plant that at my own house.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it's fine. And Dave Trinkline, our horticulturist, has said the purple fountain grass is got sterile seed. It's fine. But it's, like I said, this other fountain grass is called Chinese fountain grass by some, but it's a related species, closely related. And for whatever reason, we're finding it in a bunch of different pastures, and it creates a monoculture. The seed stick to animals and spread, and brush hogs spread it. Like I was out rating it when it had seed heads on it. My pants had seed all over the bottom of them everywhere. So I think that
it's a great way to spread that travel with animals.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So it is a concern.
And cochilla seems to be a constant one on the horizon.
They have it in Kansas as pretty common weed. Nebraska, we got notified of it in northwest Missouri soybean bottom ground. Never seen it in soybean fields, and so we just brought that to people's attention last year. I knew that it was on railroads and it's on highways around Kansas City and stuff, but never had it as a problem in soybean. And then we, as soon as I made that announcement, I got a few more hits from growers and retailers. A guy sent me a picture of kochia in soybean in Malta Bend.
Oh gosh.
So I mean, like it's possible. I just want people to know about it. You know, we don't need that. We don't need another weed.
No, I hope it stays like teasel and stays on the roadside, and not in the fields.
Yeah.